My name's Kari Morrissey. I'm with Anoka County Emergency Communications in Minnesota, and I am the Assistant Director. We handle about 420,000 emergency and non-emergency calls a year. We answer both 911 and non-emergency. We're a two-stage center, so we train our dispatchers to come in as call takers, and they work their way up to police and fire dispatching. We border Minneapolis to the north, so we have kind of a very diverse population in the southern part of our county. We have rural areas, still have farms. We host two pretty big events throughout the year, or the city of Blaine hosts the 3M golf tournament we had that about 2 weeks ago. We also have a USA Soccer Cup, a big youth tournament that brings in about 1,200 teams from around the world every year in July at the National Sports Center in Blaine. So some of our fun things. And Anoka is the Halloween capital of the world. We're struggling, just like everyone across the nation, to keep people. Our retention is good once we get them trained. So about 5 years ago, we started doing quality assurance, and we basically did it on an Excel spreadsheet, and we've moved up to better ways of doing it, but that's definitely helped with our turnover. We have really good SOPs, so people know what expectations we have. We actually give them a document how to get 100% for call taking, and having those clear expectations has really helped us out. Yeah, we have Nice and Form, and we have the evaluator, which has made our quality assurance process so much more efficient. In the past with the spreadsheet, the supervisors had to figure out which calls to use. They had to go through CAD, they had to search for calls on their own, and then they had to find the audio. With the Nice and Form, through the evaluator, we can set up schedules, and we pull quality assurance monthly. We have 2 quality assurance supervisors that do that for everyone. They quality assure the dispatchers that are off probation, but then we also have a second schedule that we pull for trainees that are under a year's probation, and they get 10 calls quality assured a month, and just doing that is so efficient. Our CAD, the ICR number, the incident number's tied to it, we have the audio tied to it. The thing I like the best is that it pulls in what's going on during that time. So it's pulling in radio traffic, it's other calls, so you know if they struggled on that call, you can see what the room activity was. We don't want to be so stringent. And you did this wrong, you did this right. If there's a reason, maybe their call processing time was longer, that will help us know, because we can tell phones were really going crazy. Looks like there was a personal injury accident, or we had 2 plane crashes in one day recently. So calls weren't answered as long, they weren't processed as quick because we had to put those calls on hold. So the scheduler, everything it pulls in, the radio, the screen recording we can use, it's just so helpful, because it helps us give back more meaningful reviews once we meet with them. Like, hey, I know this call took a little longer than normal. I'm not docking you because I saw this activity going on in the room. So it just helps us be more cognitive of, or more aware of what's going on in the room, so we can actually give better feedback. We have 8 supervisors, and in the past they all did quality assurance just because it took so long. We've been able to pull that to just 2 supervisor positions now. Plus, they still quality assure their trainees that they have on their teams, but that has been so much more efficient, because we're trying to take responsibilities away from our supervisors so they can focus on supervising. And the Nice and Form, the evaluator, that's helped us so much. We were able to create our own, put our template, build our own quality assurance in there. The APCO ones are in there too, so you don't have to build your own. We've definitely saved people that were close to the brink. When, as I mentioned, we're a 2-stage center, so we go through call taking. When people get to our police dispatching, their call taking drops off for some reason. And we had one guy who, after the fact, told us, yeah, I was ready to quit, but one of our supervisors caught it because of doing those 10 quality assurance, the 10 QAs on a trainee a month. And she saw the dip, it was pretty bad, so she pulled him aside, talked to him. We suspended his main channel training for a month. Let's get you back on track. And it helped. He's now a coach for us. We've kind of seen a good pattern now with our last 3 people going to main channel. They're all taking that dip. Because we've been able to say, yep, this is a pattern, we're actually now slowing down our progression and what we expect of them. So we're not pushing them as fast to get to main channel, because we don't want the dip. So the Inform actually being able to do so many quality assurance reviews more efficiently has actually helped us find a problem that we do have. So we're adjusting. We're not Not expecting people to be fully trained in a year through their probation like we used to. Back in August of 2021, I believe it was, Minnesota passed legislation that mental health calls had to be handled by a mental health professional. You shall transfer it if you have the capability, and Anoka County did. So we had about 2 weeks to figure this out, and we started working with our mental health partners, Canvas Health, and we came up with a flow chart, a decision tree basically for our call takers to follow. We did a quarterly review January, February, March of this year, 2023, and we noticed that a lot of our mental health calls weren't being handled right because we created a separate mental health event type for those calls. And we set up a separate schedule in the evaluator, and we had 2 supervisors that we assigned to that task, I guess, and they definitely found a problem. They talked to the individuals involved, just did some more coaching, saying, remember the decision tree, you need to follow it, and again, this is why it's important. Canvas Health came in and actually talked to all of our dispatchers, which was the key for them to kind of have the light bulb moment. So that was beneficial. We did that, and then we do spot checks, the next 3 months, and we saw our calls doubled to mental health. So then our next group we did was domestics, escorts, anything, assaults, just to make sure our dispatchers are doing their due diligence and asking all the right questions to keep our public safety partners safe. And same thing, we've kind of found some startling news. There were some of our dispatchers getting a little complacent and not asking questions they should be. So again, we were able to set up that second schedule for the second quarter of this year and pulled just those calls. And those same 2 supervisors took that task on and talked to the dispatchers involved. And by the end of that quarter, everything, 99% of the calls were being handled correctly. So it's definitely been a benefit to us. We've definitely saved people when we see them dipping. And I think we're serving our public safety partners better now. Quality assurance, people always think it's about finding the bad. It is not. We found the good. I think I shared in the past that we had a supervisor who handled it was an animal call. It was so busy. It was busy. It was some storm coming in, snowstorm I think, and there were a lot of accidents, and she put the call on hold a few times, but her customer service was so wonderful. So I was actually able to give her kudos on that. It pulled everything in. And she was so good with that caller. So you're not looking for the bad, you're looking to give them kudos, you're giving them a pat on the back. And this is all about giving them those expectations so they know, because it's coachable moments. So I think quality assurance, yes, you do have to meet standards, you have to have the why, this is why we're doing it. We base ours on NENA standards, but it's also because you want to make the call taker better, because they're here to help, they're here to make a difference every day. That's mostly why we do this job. And if we can do it the right way most of the time, that's what we want.